Okay, let's talk more about pushing changes from Eclipse to GitHub. Now, we actually did a push in the previous video, but that was a wholesale push of the entire project initially, and then we just pushed through a change in main.java. But what about pushing like a new file and or a modified file instead of the whole project? And I know we did do it briefly, but I just thought we'd take the opportunity to go through that change one more time on how the new files get added to a repository and pushed through to GitHub, as well as changes. So let's start by coming over here. We're going to create a new class. I'm going to right click on the package name down here, the Tim Bachauka part, click on new, select class. And I'm going to just type in test class. And come down here and click on public static void main so that we've got a default method. You can see that's created that for us automatically. And I can come down here. I can type sysout, press command space, control space, and it creates that line for us. Test, and I'll save that with control S. Right click, click on run as. Simple little test and we get the output, so it's working okay. All right, so we've now made a modification to the file, and you can see that by default, it's got that little question mark there. And I'll just size it up so you can see that a little bit better. So what that question mark is telling us is that this file hasn't been added to source control yet. So we need to make a decision on that. And you saw in a previous video, I did actually make a change and excluded a file. So anytime you make a change, you need to actually decide what we're going to do with the file. So this time we want to include that in our repository team. I'm going to click on add to index. When I do that, it's now changed to a plus to indicate that we've now added it to the index. And then this has also changed the little asterisk to indicate there has been a change. So it's telling you at a glance that something needs to be added to the repository at some point in time. Now that's the new file. So I'm making a change to an existing file. We click on a file and just type in something else. Okay, very simple method. Now, when I save that, we get this little greater than sign to indicate that there's been a change to that file. So you can sort of see at a glance there what's happening as I'm making the changes. You can sort of see that there is some things that need to go into the Git project, ultimately saved into the repository or remotely. And a good place to see some of these changes is in the Git staging screen here, because that will normally tell you what's been added. Now I've already actually clicked over here and actually added that manually. You remember I right clicked it and clicked on add. And I can do the same if I want to here at any time. If I change my mind, I can just click on those there, click on both of them, right click, remove from index, and that puts them back to the state here where we need to decide what we're going to do with them. But also if this particular Git staging screen is not open, close that down, and come up here to commit, and it gives you the shortcut there, Control plus hash on a Windows machine. I can alternatively click on Git, commit here, and on a Mac that would show you, if you're running it on a Mac, that would tell you what the shortcut is there. Click on commit, it just opens the Git staging screen again. So from this screen, I can decide what I want to do. So if I want to include both those files in this commit, I can just select them both like I've done there, right click, add to index. And you can see this screen's been updated now. We've got the asterisks there now to say that they've been staged to be added, but they still haven't yet been committed. And we've got a plus next to test class indicating that we've now staged that particular file as well. And again, just as a confirmation, taking those both off again, remove. So we've got the greater than sign indicating there's been a change made but it hasn't been staged, and the question mark when a file has never been added to a repository. Okay, so let's add them again. Okay, add to index again. So it's probably a good idea to get used to some of these little indicators there. They are quite useful, just being able to show you at a glance what is going to be changed with the repository. Okay, so that's those two files. Let's actually now commit these changes. So I'll put committing changes. Now I'm only going to do a commit here. You can do a commit and push, which will automatically save it to the local repository. It'll commit it to the local repository only. That's the commit, and a commit and push will do both that and also commit it to the remote repository. There are situations sometimes, like when you're working locally, you probably don't want to be pushing continually to the GitHub. You might decide to do that like once a day at the end of the day. So you might make all your changes during the day and then commit one final change to GitHub. It really depends on your workflow and the way that you're set up. Some people will want to commit each time, but there will be situations where you only want to commit at a certain period of time. So I'm going to click on commit just to commit locally again, just to see that we can do both. And confirmation again, we can come over here to under branches and under local, and then I can right click, show in history, and or I could have just clicked on the history tab there. And these are the various commits that have been made to the local repository, as you can see. So I've got the initial one, then the second one that I did in the previous video, and this one here, committing changes, was the one that I've just made now. And again, it's a confirmation. You can see the details on the screen there relating to who the author was, the commit ID, the parent, noting that the parent is the previous commit, and then the branches that are applicable, and what the comment was for the commit, and obviously here, most importantly, the files that were selected as well. All right, so that's more a bit of a overview of what of how Eclipse handles Git in terms of saving changes to the local repository. We've got these options up here as well, and this is obviously the commit option to commit the change. Up here as well, we can push the current branch to upstream if configured, or start push branch wizard. So click on that. You can see that's automatically pushed it because we've configured the remote repository down here. It just committed the change immediately. And we can go back and do a refresh. We should see that we've got 3 commits now. 3 commits. Committing changes 2 minutes ago. And the changes were the bogus method that I created in stocklist.java, and test class, a brand new file was created as well. Okay, so I'm going to finish the video here now. In the next video, we're going to have a go at cloning an existing project from GitHub and putting that into Eclipse. Now, you may recall in the previous video, we imported our own project into GitHub, and then we created a repository for it, and then we committed that to a local repository, and then ultimately pushed it to the remote repository for GitHub. But in the next video, we're going to actually clone an existing project that's already in GitHub into Eclipse on our local computer. So let's work on that in the next video.